Okay, so we're going to draft A-line skirt today. So first we're going to draft front skirt and using various commands from create, modify, advanced menus. And then we're going to copy front skirt and then create back skirt. All right, so in order for you to draft skirt, I'd like you to look at handouts and you need to do some calculations, meaning you need to have waist measurements and hip measurements and skirt length. Okay. The skirt length is 25, so let's begin with creating a rectangle shape. Okay. So create piece rectangle and left click in your work area. And if you're in value mode, this dialog box, this box will be highlighted. But if you are in cursor mode, it will be like this. So switch to value mode by bunny clicking left and right buttons of your mouse at the same time. Then you can switch to value mode. Then press the tab key to enter X box, which is 15. And then press tab again. Then you enter -25. Then press enter. Now we ask you to enter piece name. So you're going to add name. So for this one, I will just add Ted, a skirt, okay, and draft. And right click OK. So now I have this piece ready because in order to create a piece, you have to have a draft first, right? So the length here, you can make sure by going to verify, measure line length, and you click each line, then you can make sure the length is 25 and then the width right now is 15. Okay. Then press F6 to hide the measurements. Now next one is we need to draw the sideline. The sideline, you have to do the calculation total hip measurement plus 1 divided by 4 and plus quarter inch. Okay, so the answer, my answer, my hip measurement is 36, and you add 1 inch is divided by 4 and plus quarter inch. That will be 9.5 inches. So I'm going to offset this center front line and then create the sideline. Okay. So go to create, offset even, and make sure you select the option add, and you left click and right click OK, and you enter the distance. Now the distance is we go in this direction, so you need to enter negative direction. So I will enter -9.5. Then I have sideline ready. Okay. All right. So now I will swap this line with the line I temporarily created by going to modify line action swap. Okay. So first select the internal line, which is the one I just created, and right click OK. And then select the one I want to swap with, which is this perimeter line. Right click OK. Okay. Then I'd like to delete this line. You go to modify, delete line, and click the line and right click OK. And right click OK. All right, so now I have center front line, side line, waistline, hemline. Okay. Next, I will mark hip line, which is 8 inches from the waist. So I'll go back to create, offset, even, and again, make sure you check add, and I will select waistline, right click OK, then I will enter -8 to mark the hip line. Okay. Next, you need to do next formula, which is waist divided by 4 plus quarter inch. My answer is 7.25. So I will use again create. Okay, so I need to mark the answer waist divided by 4 plus 1/4 inch from the center front along the waistline and then mark. To mark, I will use notch command. So select create notch standard. Then you see the cursor. You have option. Okay, either you can use distance from point to measure from this point, or you can simply bunny click on the line. You will bunny click on the line. So cancel. Okay. So you see the arrow coming from first clockwise direction, meaning from the left side. Now you press Tab key to change the direction from center front. Then it will be in the dialog box. That box will automatically highlighted. So you simply enter your answer. So my answer is 7.25. Then you will mark that distance from that center front line. Okay. Now let me make sure by going to verify, measure between notch. So exactly 7.25 inch. All right. Next, we're going to divide this remaining section into 3 sections. Let me zoom in by using F7, and then I will zoom in the area. So I need to divide in these 3 sections. Okay. So again, I use notch command to mark that each section. So again, create notch standard. Now this time, I like to use the option right click, multiple, proportional on line. Okay. When you select the option, you will simply left click that waistline. Now if you zoom out, you'll see the thumbtack on the other side. Okay. So you want to specify the area. So I would move this one. If you see that when you cursor hover over to the thumbtack, the shape changes. That really tells you are actively selecting the pushpin, the thumbtack. So you just simply left click, release your mouse. Now it doesn't move because you're in a value mode. So you bunny click, then you will simply move that thumbtack to this notch point. Okay. Then left click to secure. Now I specify the area I want to divide into 3 sections. Right click OK. And I don't need notches on any side, so I will say none. Now how many notches in between? 2. OK. And OK. Now you see that section is divided into 3 equal parts. Okay. Let me make sure that. Verify, measure between notches. If I click the section, it was divided into 3 sections, equal parts. All right. Now, F4 to see the entire piece. Next, you're going to draw a sideline. Okay. So the first, you create a guideline. Okay. Using create line options, 2 point. Okay. And I would zoom in. Okay. You will first select the first notch from the left. So when you select the notch, try not to just click the point, but you will first place your cursor over the waistline and hold down the left button of your mouse and then slide it to the notch point. So when you do that, it will tell you you're actively selecting the notch point. Okay. And then you will again move your cursor over the hip line and hold down the left button and slide it all the way to the end. Okay. And release. And right click OK. Now, once you made this line from the notch point to the side hip point, you're going to extend this line to the hem level. Okay. So how to extend this line? You will select Modify, Line Action, Adjust. Okay. So select the line to change the length. So I will select left click the line. Now, when you move your cursor, okay, this side, the triangle filled with the dark color, and this side now filled with the dark color. Now, computer wants to know which end you want to extend. So you move your cursor to the end of the line you want to extend. Then you left click to extend the line. Okay. So you make it a little bit longer than the hemline. Okay. Now you have side line created. Next step is you're going to create hip curve. Okay, from the waist to side hip. Okay, so now you select create line 2-point curve. Okay, so this time you select the second notch point from the left. Okay, here, this is the point, and then again you will slide over the hip line all the way to the side. Okay, and then you release the mouse. Simply, you will try to create a nice hip curve. Remember, we don't have hip curve ruler and French curve, so you have to rely on your eyes to create a nice hip curve. Okay, so if you're happy with the curve, left click to execute, okay, and right click OK. All right, F4 to see the entire piece. Next, you need to create the waistline. Now the waistline is not straight usually, so we need to dip the skirt waistline at the center front 3/8. Okay, so we're going to create a curved line 3/8 below this point, and then to the side waist point. Okay, so we select create 2-point curve. Okay, and I will zoom in here. Again, you will bunny click on the center front line. Then you see the arrow. So you enter here 3/8, so 0.375, and OK. Then you will hover over the side hip line and then slide it all the way up to that end point and release your mouse and then try to create a nice waistline curve. And left click to execute, right click to finalize. All right, so now you have waistline, center front line, hemline, and a side line, side hip curve. Okay. So we're actually ready to trace a piece for the front. Okay. So this is you keep this as a draft, and you create a separate piece, the front skirt. So in order to create a piece, you will select create piece trace. Okay. When you use this command, you need to select the perimeter line or internal line in order and clockwise direction. So I will first select center front, hem, side line, side hip, and waistline. Now I close the shape and right click OK. And the system asks you, do you want to keep any internal line? Yes, I would like to keep a hip line as a reference. So I will select the hip line and right click OK. So now the piece will pops up. Then you will need to enter the piece name. So I would enter front skirt. Okay, and right click OK. All right, so now we have now created a front skirt. Okay. The next step is, as you can see, we still have to add a dart, and we need to fix the hemline. Okay, so the hemline right now is straight. Okay, so if you keep the patterns like that, probably the side hem point will become a little pointy. So you want to change it into slight curve upwards at side hem. So in order to change straight line into curved line, you need to add some points. Okay, so I'm going to add extra points by going to create point. Okay. So I will eyeball it about halfway in the middle and also in between and in between. So that should be adequate. Okay. And now right click OK. Now if you want to see the points on the line, you can turn on view point, intermediate, and then click the middle of the piece and right click OK. Then you see all the points on the line. Now we're going to change this, keep this part straight and then curve up to 1/4 inch at the side. So select create, lines, offset, uneven. Okay. Then you will select the middle point and then enter 0. And then slide all the way to the side. Then you enter negative 0.25. Okay. And right click OK. Now, if you feel the line is slightly awkward, you can make a little bit of adjustment by going to modify, point action, single point. Then I will move this point slightly little like that, right? And make it little more smooth. Okay. All right. Now I'll turn off 5. Okay. Then he asks you how much the dot width. So I will enter 0.75 and OK. So now I added the dots. So the piece is actually complete. Now the last thing I need to do is to add seam allowance and notches. Okay. All right, so I have now front skirt almost ready. We just have to add darts and then the seam allowance. But before we do that, we need to create the back skirt. Okay, so I will copy this by going to create piece, copy, okay, and click the piece, and you will name this as back, BK. Okay. All right, so the back skirt is actually not exactly the same shape as front. It is wider, 1/2 inch wider, and the waistline is 1/8 deeper. So first I'm going to offset this line 1/2 inch. Okay. So I will use modify, line action, offset. Okay. Then I'll select the center line, right click OK, and I enter 1/2 inch. Okay. So now the width I adjusted. Next, I need to go 1/8 deeper here. Okay, so dip little 1/8 at this point. So I will use create, line, offset, uneven. Okay. Then at the side waist point, 0. Okay. And at this about 1/3 from the center, I will select this point and enter negative 0.125, 1/8. And right click OK. All right. So now the back waistline has been changed, and the width also changed. Now we're ready to add a dart. Okay. So this is the front, this is the back. Okay. So in order to add the darts, you will select advanced, darts, add. Okay. So you need to know the dart length and the dart width. Okay. For the front, the length is 3.5. Okay. So I'm going to add dots exactly middle point of the waistline. Okay. So if you look at the cursor shape, you see that you have an option. So I will right click to see the option and then select midpoint. Then I will left click the waistline. Okay. Then if you're in the value mode, you can enter the length, which is 3.5. Okay. Now, width of the dot, remember you will take that one of the 3 sections, equal parts, which was 0.75. So that's the amount needs to be taken in. So the amount here will be 0.75. Okay. And so that's you added the dot. Length and 0.35, which is the dot opening. And you do the same thing for the back, but the length is 4.5 inch long. So again, add, okay, right click, midpoint, and then click the back waistline. The length is 4.5. The width of the dot is 0.75. And OK. All right. So now I have front and back pieces ready to add seam allowance. Okay. Now before we do that, we like to rotate. Okay. And because now it will be probably easier to draft this direction, but actual pattern needs to be on the follow that from the right to left grain line. So I need to rotate this to follow the orientation by going to modify, rotate, piece action rotate, and you're going to rotate clockwise 90 degrees. Click both pieces. Okay. Okay. So as you know, front and back is on the same orientation. We want to change this so that center back will be on this side. So we need to flip this piece. Okay. So in order to flip the piece, you will still stay in Modify tab and Piece Action Flip. Okay. So when you flip, you have some options. So select the flip piece, and you're going to flip using x-axis as a reference. So you select this option and then click the piece. Okay. And it will flip according to the x-axis line. All right. Now, just because you rotate or flip, it doesn't mean grain line has been changed. So you still need to change the grain line. Okay. So stay in the same Modify Piece Action section, then you select the Realign. Okay. So when you select the Realign, you have two options: Realign Piece, Realign Grain Line. When you select accidentally Realign Piece, it will revert to original orientation. So you don't want to do that. So you select Realign Grain. Okay. Then you just click the grain lines. Then it will fix that orientation. All right. Now we are ready to add seam allowance. Okay. The seam allowance, where you find add seam allowance, this is a little bit tricky because there is nowhere it says seam allowance. Okay. So in this system, it is called define. So under advanced, seam, define. Okay. So this is the command to add seam allowance. Okay. So I will select define. Okay. Now you can add individually. Let me do that first by individually selecting the line. So for example, I can select waistlines and then add 3/8. Okay. Center back, I want to add 1/2 inch. Okay. Hem, I want to add 1.5, 1.5. Okay. Side seam, I want to add 1/2 inch. Now you notice that, oh, why it doesn't go seam allowance all the way to the hem? It is because, remember, when we traced the side line, we selected two lines, right? The side seam and then hip curve. So these two lines are not really combined. So you need to combine these two lines. So you will select Modify, Line Action, Combine. Okay. Then you select two sections of the lines and you combine. Then you will add seam allowance all the way to the hem. Okay, so now I'm going to add seam allowance to the front skirt. This time I add first 1/2 inch to the entire piece. So I will select the middle of the piece and right click OK. Then I add 1/2 inch. Okay. Then I will go back to the hemline and I will change to 1.5. And the waistline change to 3/8. Okay. Now here, in order for okay, so this time I'm going to add seam allowance to the entire piece. So I will click the middle of the piece and highlight all the perimeter lines and right click OK. And I'm going to add 1/2 inch. Okay. Then I will change that hemline to 1.5 and the waistline to 3/8. Okay. Now you notice that if you check the seam amount by going to View, Seam Amount, okay, I forgot to change the darts, so it's still 1/2 inch. So I need to also select the dart and change to 3/8. Now it sounds strange that you're adding the darts, seam allowance to the dart, but in order for us to fix the darts, you need to add seam allowance first to the dart. So I need to add also here, add seam allowance 3/8. Okay, so now if you look around, seam amounts are correct, front and the back. Only thing that you need to still fix is the center front, because center front, we don't have any seam here. So we change this into mirror line, fold line. You can select modify and piece actions, mirror. Okay. So when you select this command, you will select check fold after mirror. And do you want to add a notch here, or both ends? Okay. I would just like to add a notch to the waistline. So I will say single end. Okay. Then I will select the center front line, right click OK, and select this end. Now you see notches only added to this side, not to the hem. Okay. Then right click OK. All right. Now next, we're going to fix the dart. Okay. So I will turn off the seam amount. Okay. Then zoom in here first. Okay. So to fix the darts, you need to go back to again advanced darts. Now this time you select fold. Okay. So when you select the option, make sure you check these 3 options: include fold lines, include drill hole, include notches. Okay. Then you click the dart. Then it asks you how far inside you want to have a drill hole. Well, it could be 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, but this example I will use 1/2 inch inside. Then it will be automatically fixed. Now you see the leg line marked, and you have drill hole and also notches added. Okay. So you do the same thing to the front dart. Okay. Select advanced darts fold. Make sure you check 3 options and then select the dart and 1/2 inch inside and right click OK. Okay, so now I have almost done. Okay, so seam allowance is added. Now last thing we need to do is add notches. Okay, all right. So I'm going to probably add a notch at the side hip. Okay, or halfway of the side seam, but I will add 8 inches from the side waist point and both sides, so that you have adequate notch to when you sew the side seam. So I will go to create notch standard, and I will bunny click on the line. Then you can enter 8, and here also I will bunny click. Now the arrow comes from the opposite direction, so you press the tab key to change the direction. Then you simply enter 8. Okay. So you see notches are both 8 inches from the side waist point. Okay. So what else notches are missing? Probably you wanted to add zipper end. So zipper, let's say 6 inches. Okay. So you measure from this point 6 inches and then add a dart. Okay. Sorry, the notch. Okay. Again, you will bunny click on center back line, then change the direction, and you enter 6. So that will be the notch for the zipper end. Okay. Now next I need, probably you want to add notches to the corners, right? But in order for you to add notches to corners, you can't use create notch standard. Okay. So you have to go to advanced seam corners. Okay. Then you select regular. option. Okay, so when you select the regular, it does not change the shape of the corner or pattern shape. You only need to add notches. Okay. So here, for example, this corner, I wanted to add a notch here. Okay, not the bold. Okay, so if you think about clockwise direction, notches here is the first, this will be the second. Okay, so I will select extension first only, then you simply select the corner, and it will add a notch to the first from the clockwise direction. Okay, so then I will select this corner and also this corner. I guess this is not correct. You want to add a notch here. So this time I will change to second only. And then select the corner again. Okay. Now this corner, probably I will select the first only and select the corner. Okay. So then I will go to the back, stay in this corner option. So I will select first only, probably second only, sorry, second only. This will be also second only. And this center front you have noticed already. So I guess that's it. Okay, so now you have front and back skirt patterns completed. Okay, so you want to save this, file, save, click both pieces and right click OK. Okay, next we're going to create a waistband. Okay, so waistband for this example is a straight waistband. The height of the waistband is 1¼ inch. Yeah. So if you look at create piece section, you don't really have option to make a waistband. Okay, so you can create a rectangle shape to create the waistband, or I will this time use binding option. Okay, although it's not the binding, but you can use this for to create the waistband. Okay, so I'm going to select the binding, and then binding width is actually the waistband width. So I will enter 1.25, 1¼ okay, and rotation count clockwise 90. Okay, so I will select from center front to the back. Okay, so you will simply click that sections of the waistline. Okay, in order from center front to center back. Okay, and right click OK. Then it will create the waistband. Now you need to enter the piece name. This will be a skirt of the waistband. Okay. Now you want to make sure which end is center front or center back. Okay. So I will use verify between notch option to measure. So I will measure center front, center back to the dot location, and center front to the dot location. Okay. Then I will click corresponding sections. Now you know this is actually the center front and this is the center back. Okay, so this skirt has a center back zipper opening. So you want to mirror the center front line. So this will be the center front line. Okay. Suppose we're keeping grain line this direction. Okay, you could change the grain line to the straight grain, but for this example, I would like to keep it this direction. Okay. Now, I want to also flip this piece so that notches will be on this side, because this is the side you're going to sew to the skirt waistband. So I will go to modify piece action flip. Okay, this time I flip piece according to the y-axis. So I will select this option, this quadrant, and I will select the piece. Okay. Now, once you flip or rotate, make sure you change the grain line. So I will go to modify piece actions, realign, and I realign the grain line. Okay. All right. So this will be the center front. Now I'm going to mirror this. Okay. Under modify piece action, mirror. Okay. Now this time I will not select fold after mirror option. Okay. And I will select both ends. I want to see the notches on both ends. Okay. And I will select that center front line of the waistband and mirror. All right. So now I mirrored both. Now I have entire waistband. Okay. And then next step is that either you want to cut two pieces to create to make a waistband, or you can make this top edge of the waistband unfold so that entire waistband can be cut in one piece. So that's what I'm going to do. So I want to make this line unfold, but you know these two lines are now two sections. So let me combine these two lines first by going to Modify, Line Actions, Combine, and I will combine these two lines. Okay, and I'm going to mirror this line. So select Piece Action, Mirror. Now this time I will select Fold After Mirror, okay, and click the line, and it will turn into the dotted line that indicate the line is folded. Now, if you want to make sure the piece is actually really mirrored, you can go to View, Piece, Mirror, Unfold. Okay, and when you click the piece, you can see actually it's folded. And make sure you go back to Fold. Okay, so keep the piece folded. All right. Now, last thing I need to do to this waistband is seam allowance. You know, waistline, skirt waistline seam allowance is 3/8. So you're going to add 3/8 to the waistband. Advanced, Define, click the middle of the piece to select the entire piece, or you can use marquee option to select the entire piece. Okay, like this. Okay. And right click OK, and you add 3/8. Okay, so now you have front skirt, back skirt, and the waistband ready. The next step is you're going to rename these pieces and create a model.